Welcome again to ACER Explained. I'm going through section 3 of the ACER practice question booklet in this video, and today we're going through unit 5. So just like unit 4, this is actually just a single question unit, so this will be another quick one. Unit 5 gives us a table of values with different animals and their different brain to body weight ratios. So for example, with shrews, we have a brain to body weight ratio of 1 to 40, 1 being the brain, 40 being the body weight. Okay, so the question is asking us to find two animals with the same brain mass, so just the brain mass. And you can kind of tell when you're looking at these, you can't actually, for example, just given 1 to 40, you can't tell what the mass of a tree shrew's brain will be without additional information. You can't tell what the body mass of a tree shrew will be without additional information. These are relative values and they're relative within the tree shrew. So you can't even compare them like this, right? So you can't tell whether a brain for a tree shrew will be the same as a squirrel monkey. Even if squirrel monkey had the same ratio, you can't tell whether the brain masses for these two would be different. Because what if the tree shrew is 100 kilograms, whereas the squirrel monkey is only 10 kilograms? Even if they had the same ratios, their brain mass would be different. So now that we know that, we can eliminate options A and B because we're not given any additional information like the body mass. So we know that we actually can't even compare them. So they're immediately wrong. Then we move on to options C and D. We are given the body masses of the tree shrew and squirrel monkey. Okay, so let's start off with tree shrew. And because I don't like working in decimals in the GAMSAT, I'm going to change this to grams. So we have 1500 grams tree shrew, and the ratio is 1 to 40. Okay, and so in order to, this 1,500 grams is equivalent to this 40 because it's talking about the body mass. So in order to find the brain, you have to go, how many times can this fit into this? It's 40 times. So in order to find the brain mass for the tree shrew, you have to go 1,500 divided by 40. Just get rid of the zeros to make it cleaner. Okay, so this many grams is the brain of a tree shrew. Then moving on to 5 kilograms squirrel monkey. Because we're comparing the two values, I'm going to make sure that they're in the same units, 1 to 12. Okay, and same thing as before, we want to divide this value, or this value, by 12 in order to find this value. So we have 5,000 divided by 12 grams. Okay, so the difference, something that we can notice here is that you can, 4 is a factor of 12, okay? So if I divide 12 by 3, I'll get 4. So in order to compare these without doing the full math, I can just go, all right, well, dividing this by 3 gives me 4. So 5,000 divided by 3 should give me 150 if they're the same, right? So if I divide this by 3, it should give me 150 if these two values are the same. And I know that 5,000 divided by 3 is not going to give me 150. So I know that these are not the same. This is what I do to avoid doing the full calculation, right? You could also potentially, let's erase this. Okay. Okay. You could also just go, for example, you have 1.5. In order to avoid the decimal, do 3 on 2 kilograms, and then you divide that by 40, and then you have 5 kilograms, and you divide that by 12. And then you'd basically find that the numbers that you get at the end are very different. So they're not going to be this, they're not going to, you don't even need to do the full calculation in order to realize that the brain mass of a tree shrew and a squirrel monkey is going to be different. Okay, then you just move on to D and hope that that one's right, right? So 150 kilogram gorilla, so 150, and the ratio for gorilla is 1 to 200, right? So the brain is going to be 150 divided by 200, okay? So we have 15 over 20. And then a 450 kilogram elephant, and the elephant ratio is 1 to 600. So you're going to get 450 divided by 600 as the brain mass. So take away the zeros there. So you have 45 over 60. And you can very easily tell that this, if you simplify that, you're going to get 15 over 20. Because if you divide 60 by 3, you get 20. And same thing, if you divide 45 by 3, you get 15. So that's like saying 45 on 60. You're just simplifying that. Divided by 3 is 15. Divided by 3 is 20. Okay, and so you can see that the brain mass of the elephant here and the gorilla here is the same. So that answers your question there. And so that's how we get the answer for question 13. This is a question where absolutely no previous knowledge was required. You did not need to know anything about the brains or body masses of any of those animals there. You just had to use your ratios and your fractions. And so that comes under your reasoning skills. And you also needed to be able to eliminate the distractors of all of the other animals that were listed there as well. So you can build on these skills using the reasoning skills course, as well as the calculations and formula acceleration class. And that brings us to the end of Unit 5. Thank you for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe if you want more GAMSAT help. We love the feedback. And we have our Instagram at ThankFlipGamSat, as well as our podcast, ThankFlipGamSat, Nurses Doing GAMSAT, if you want to hear more from us. See you in the next one.